Hello, Shay Matthew Fisher here. Today I want to share with you some ideas from a piece that I did called Descriptive Inexhaustibility and Its Implications. German-American philosopher Nicholas Rescher coined the term descriptive inexhaustibility, which refers to the fact that since the world or reality is infinitely complex, our descriptions of it can never truly capture it. There's always more to say. There are always other valid ways of describing things, even the simplest of things. Take rocks, for example, which is an example that Rescher uses. Think about how one could give a seemingly complete description of a rock. You could say as many things as possible about it, and yet at that point there are still new things to say. There are still new things that could be added if you tried hard enough. For example, you could describe its relation to any number of other things, or even new understandings about rocks that come from scientific or intellectual change of various sorts. The use of rocks as an example is simply to show that the idea of descriptive inexhaustibility holds in principle. It's not only that the world's very complicated and we have to work very hard and write lots of books and articles and fill up our libraries and now the internet, and then one day we will have completed the task of gaining all knowledge and understanding. No, reality always outruns language. There is an objective reality that our subjective conceptual systems only reflect in partial and incomplete ways. Many of our conceptual systems and ways of thinking are more accurate by some criteria or assumptions than are others, which is an epistemic issue, and also many of them are more useful for certain practical goals than are others, which is a pragmatic issue. So we arrive at a metaphysical realism with an epistemological and pragmatic idealism. This is the position of Rescher and myself, and it echoes the conceptual relativism of philosopher John Searle, who also still maintains a metaphysical realism. Basically, there is a real objective world out there. It's not the product of our minds only, which metaphysical idealism, or what many people think of as idealism, that our minds create the world, that's not the idealism at hand here. But it's rather that our modes of knowledge and our conceptual systems can only ever get at it in partial ways. There's a strong Kantian influence in the view that I'm proposing and describing. This is how we can recognize the limits and the partiality of human knowledge without falling into a relativism that does not believe in objective fact. We can become more comfortable with the fact that consensus is hard to come by and may not be the sole criterion of truth, for example. In every field, people constantly disagree. That doesn't mean that the relativists are right, that the world is a product of our cultures or our minds or whatnot. There is objective fact, but our linguistic truths can never completely match it. And that's understandable, since as humans we are fallible and imperfect animals. As Steven Pinker points out, our brains evolved for certain survival reasons, not to be pipelines to the truth. We are extremely smart and wonderful creatures, but there are limits to our cognitive capacities. We strive for godlike omniscience and omnipotence and omnibenevolence, yet recognizing our inabilities and limitations is a huge step down the path toward humility, wisdom, and a more sophisticated understanding of our human projects. Thank you.